Okay, number 6. We have a nice easy series circuit. So we know on a series circuit R1 plus R2 plus R3 equals total R. And we know the voltage is not the same throughout, but the current is. Okay, so my first place to go, I'm seeing that I have 2 out of 3 over here. Let's get that little triangle up here. I is V over R. So if I'm looking for current, it's V divided by R, so 45 divided by 30 is 1.5 amps. The current only has one place to go, so I can say the total current is 1.5 amps, I1 is 1.5 amps, I2 and I3, all 1.5 amps. Let's see here. I can also get the total resistance here. R is equal to V over I, so 120 divided by 1.5 gives me 80. And I know the total resistance is equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3. So I know everything there except for R1. So RT equals R1 plus R2 plus R3. So R1 then is equal to the total resistance minus R2 minus R3. So that's 80 minus 30 minus 10. So 80 minus 40 gives me an R1 of 40 ohms. Okay, now that I know I and R here and I know I and R here, I can solve for V, which is I times R. So my V1 is 40 times 1.5, which I think is 60. I've got that as 45. I times R2 is 15. And just to check myself, 60 plus 45 plus 15 should equal 120. And it does. So now I can fill in all my information. So V3 is 15 volts. V1 is 60 volts. I1 is the same for every I. Same throughout. R1 is a whopping 40 ohms. And total resistance 80 ohms. Okay, last question. Get a good view of that. Maybe I need to have that out a little bit, especially for the next one. Okay, number 7. I have to find the following. So here's what I've got to find. Again, it's good if you can find I, V, and R for every one of these, including this. Okay, so my first thought here is I'm going to see if I can get current anywhere. So I can't get it here, I can't get it here. The current does follow along this path, comes along this path, and splits. Up, 5 amps went to the left and 2 amps went to the right, if you're the current following that. So 5 plus 2, I have a total current of 7 amps. And all 7 amps went this way. They didn't have a choice. They split here, came back together here, back to 7 amps. If 4 amps went left, then I4 equals 3 amps. Okay, I4 equals 3 amps, so 4 plus 3 is 7 still. Oh, and they came back together here, and we have an ammeter, which is just a tool to tell me how much current's passing through the wire right there, and I get 7 amps. Okay, so I have a lot of I's now. Let's see what else I can get. I can get the equivalent resistance here. Let's get that little triangle back up. So 72 divided by 7. Let me get my answer so I can cheat. Use the cheat method. Let's see here. 72 divided by 7 is 10.3 ohms. And then my R1 would be, again, V over I, so 24 over 7. which is 3.4 ohms. Come down this way. If this is 3 volts, this is in parallel. Remember, voltage is the same throughout a parallel. So this is also 20 volts. And if I know I and V, I can get R2, which is 20 divided by 2, or 10 ohms. R3 is 20 divided by 5, which is 4 ohms. Alright, come down here. What can I get? What can I get? Let's see here. I was hoping to get R5 and V5 and I and V and R4. Those are the things I'm hoping to get. So my first thought, let's see here. I think what I want to do is figure out the voltage first. And I know the total voltage is 72 volts, which is equal to the 24 right here, plus, you only add 20 one time, plus X, all that equals 72. So 72 minus 24 minus 20 gives me 28. X is 28. So I don't split 28, just like I didn't split the 20 here. They're both 28, but we would only add them one time. Okay, so now I can get my resistances. So R is V over I, so 28 divided by 3 gives me 9 1/3. And 28 divided by 4, I'm going to put that over, let's see here, 28 divided by 4 gives me 7 ohms. Okay, so I can plug everything in here now, but just to check myself and just to make sure you remember how to get the equivalent resistance on a combo circuit, this is in series, but this is in parallel, so I'm going to get the equivalent resistance here, and the equivalent resistance here is 1 divided by 10 plus 1 divided by 4. Click the inverse button, and then you get 2.9 ohms. So this is the equivalent resistance for this portion. And the equivalent resistance for this portion would be 1 divided by 9 1/3 plus 1 divided by 7 equals, you get your number, hit the inverse button, and the equivalent resistance for this portion is 4. Now if I add 3.4 plus 2.9 plus 4, I should come up with 10.3 if I've done all of this correctly. And I do. So check it out if you don't believe me. And I do. So I've done a good job, so I just need to go through and fill in. I1, 7 amps. V2 is 20 volts. V4, 28 volts. V5, 28 volts. I4 is, where's I4? Ah, right here. So 4 went this way, 3 went this way. And I7, it's all the way back to 7. Alright, good luck on the test. You have a test over this next class.